Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to talk about Survivor Series. And we're going to do a prediction show. So, because it is Thanksgiving here in the United States, I'm taking the day off. But that doesn't mean that I do no work. I'm going to do a little bit of wrestling here. We're going to do Survivor Series predictions. But we're also going to talk about this Triple H interview, which, my goodness gracious, has been all over the internet because he said two things in it that I find to be very, very interesting. It says Triple H offers inside look at WWE storytelling. So this is from Sports Illustrated. So before we get into the Survivor Series, let's talk about his thought process when it comes to booking these shows. So I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it says he had 25 years in WWE before he got the book. And it says, quote, Vince taught me years ago, you put yourself in the seats and you'll never go wrong. You've always got to maintain that perspective. I started out as a fan, book what people want to feel and see. He booking you something you can feel. Oh my God, get out of here. But here's the problem. What Triple H was a fan of is not what I'm a fan of. All right, he's a fan of like mid 80s NWA. I'm a fan of like early 90s, late 80s WWF. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, my guy. He continues, writing this stuff is a feel. You can analyze stories and how they come together, but how does it make you feel? If you can make people feel those stories, they're going to be invested in the product. That's how we try to approach. Find the ultimate emotional place for the talent and the characters and the stories they're in. Find the emotional place. Oh my God. Wait until we start talking about this Survivor Series card and see if any of this stuff comes in. All right. When we start talking about Survivor Series, let's see if any of this becomes important. All right. So he says, quote, we don't take our fan base for granted. And the way our talent operates is different from other generations. They want to go out there and put on the best possible show they can. A lot of these kids are already invested. They grew up wanting to do this. And if they didn't, they fell in love with it by learning from people who grew up wanting to be in this business. And that's how they learn the respect for it. To me, that's what makes you successful. That connection with our fan base, that's a big part of our core. Now, that was, the big quote that if you looked around the internet, you saw a lot of that. We don't take our fans for granted. And then people saying, oh, he was mocking us a few years ago. Me and my friend Mark. It's like, well, he wasn't mocking fans. He was mocking marks. He was mocking people who threatened to stop watching the show every week. Look, when you've got hundreds of thousands of fans, maybe even millions and millions and millions, depending on, what time and date and era we're talking about here, you can't make everybody happy. There's always going to be a subsection of people who are going to be unhappy with the product. You can't make everybody happy. So mocking the terminally online, I'm going to tweet at Triple H guy is not mocking the entire fan base. The entire fan base did not agree with you at the time. They were continuing to make tons of money. TV ratings were higher then than they are now, but that's mostly due to television changes. So if you got on your big horse and you said, oh my goodness, Triple H was making fun of us, he don't take us for granted. No. No matter how much WWE heaps praise on the fan base, whether it's Vince, whether it's Stephanie, whether it's Triple H, these terminally insecure, they don't listen to me fans who are always online, always yelling about nonsense. These people always feel like they're not being heard. It's because you are in the minority. All right? You are a small section of the audience. There are other sections of the audience who do like this stuff. And I'm understanding now that I'm in the minority. I've always been in the minority. I'm in the minority because I'm not a huge fan of the Attitude Era. So I already know I'm in the minority. So I'm just going to sit over here gleefully making fun of everybody because it's what I do. And I have fun doing it. But let's see if we can find Triple H's booking you something you can feel in this Survivor Series card that we're going to talk about here. Because let's see where the emotional core is, in this storytelling. Because everybody claims that they love it so much. Let's see what's going on here. So match 1, Carlito versus Santos Escobar. Now, we know what the emotional core is. Here, Santos Escobar just destroyed the LWO, and he blames Carlito for it. So that's the story going into it. This seems like a match that, because Carlito just lost to Bobby Lashley, he probably should win this match. But Escobar does need a match in order to jump from, in terms of picking himself up off the ground. And he needs a launching pad. And Carlito is a good launching pad. Okay? I'm going to go with Escobar winning, because you could always bounce back Carlito later. I think Escobar needs to get hot right now. At least this match does have some emotional elements to it. Santos Escobar went out there and said that he wants Rey Mysterio's leg to get amputated. The same Rey Mysterio who apparently is a superhero, and his mask glows and he transforms into like a superhero. Did you see that cartoon? The trailer for the Rey Mysterio cartoon that's going to be on like HBO Max or Adult Swim or something like that. It's tremendous. I may actually watch it. He's got like a magical mask that glows and everything. It's pretty cool. How could you want that guy to lose his leg? You're a piece of shit, Escobar. So you found the emotional core in this match. That's Santos Escobar, who apparently hates Rey Mysterio more than anybody ever, except Dominic. So that's good. Match 2. Damage Control, which is Bayley, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane versus Bianca Belair, Charlotte, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch. All right, so where's the emotional core in this match? What am I supposed to care about? I'm guessing I'm supposed to care about the damage control element about Bayley. Is Bayley in trouble here? If she loses this match, is she going to get kicked out of damage control? Well, I think she's going to get kicked out anyway. But I'm guessing that's what you're supposed to care about. You're supposed to care about the relationship between the characters in damage control. Now, Io has 2 other Japanese speakers. And then you also have Dakota Kai floating around outside the ring, who apparently understands Japanese but don't speak it. And the looming threat of Bayley getting kicked out or being ostracized in some way from damage control. And I'm not that engaged in that. Even though I did say several weeks ago that Bayley has run her course as a heel and that she needs to be a babyface, I never liked damage control. So I like the idea of Io, Sky, Kairi, and Asuka as a trio more than anything. But I didn't like damage control. It was too much of a mishmash of nonsense. Now, in terms of who wins this match, I think that the all-star team of Bianca, Charlotte, Becky, and Shotzi is going to win the match. Because it's an all-star team. And I think, it's going to be hard to beat an all-star team in a Survivor Series match. Even though Shotzi's on the team. She's the only one on the team that is pinnable and beatable. But she's also the daredevil who's probably going to do the crazy stunt off the top of the cage or whatever the case may be. So I'm going to go with Bianca, Charlotte, and Shotzi and Becky Lynch to win the match. I don't expect any post-match immediate kickouts for Bayley. I do expect them to lose and for Bayley to be the one who takes the pin. And then maybe the next week on SmackDown, they're going to kick her out. They may do one of these things where everybody just kind of looks at Bayley like, oh, you cost us this match. All right, match 3. Rhea Ripley versus Zoe Stark. Now, where's the emotional investment in this match? How are you booking something people can feel, and you booked Zoe Stark in this match? Kermit the Frog. Who the hell wants to see this girl? I guess everybody's supposed to like Rhea Ripley, which is true. You're supposed to like Rhea Ripley, but do you like her that much that you're willing to sit through Zoe Stark? That's a good question. Clearly, Rhea Ripley is going to win this match. There's no question about it. It's going to be a lengthy, well-worked match where Triple H gets to show off his new toy and Zoe Stark that he really, really likes. But everybody else is going to get up and go get popcorn, hot dogs, go to the bathroom, get another beer, get some of them salty-ass terrible peanuts or pretzels or whatever. I doubt people watch. This match might end up being 15 minutes or something like that. People are going to watch like 5 minutes of it and then get bored and start chanting CM Punk or something like that. Highly unfortunate, but it is how it is. Gunther versus The Miz. How are you booking something you can feel in this situation? Well, the way I look at it, you're supposed to care about The Miz. Now, The Miz, of course, is a veteran, been around for a long time, but most importantly, you're supposed to embody The Miz. The Miz is just like everybody else. He's a fan who bust his ass, got in this position, former world champion 2 times over, main event at WrestleMania, is a star, but still is unappreciated. And it's all about him testing Gunther's mettle to see if Gunther really is as great as he says he is. But Gunther then turns around and says, you're not a fighter. You're not somebody that's worthy of my respect. Yada, yada, yada. So is that supposed to be the emotional core of this match? Is The Miz and his fandom as opposed to juxtaposition against us and our fandom? And the elitist mentality of Gunther, who recently says that he never watched anything with The Miz in it because he stopped watching wrestling during this time, and then he ended up being a real mark. Oh my God, Gunther actually lost some really cool points with me when he starts talking about how he was more into Japanese pro wrestling and all this kind of stuff, and I was kind of like, ugh, that's the dorkiest shit you could possibly be a fan of in the wrestling space. That's like, somebody coming out here talking about how they're a fan of chives and asparagus. Like, back when I was a fan of rap music, if you went around telling people that you were a fan of like Talib Kweli, they looked at you like you were like, what the hell is wrong with you? Listen to 50 Cent like everybody else. Like, what's your problem? And now that's kind of how it is in the wrestling space, where it's like, John Cena is great, Randy Orton, yada, yada, yada. And then you start walking up talking about Toshiaki Kawada. Everybody's going to look at you like, what the fuck? Who the hell knows who that guy is? So Gunther coming across like a little bit of a dork in that respect, but I already knew this, so I'm going to have to overlook it. Him not liking the Ultimate Warrior. Look, I'm going to overlook that too. All right. Gunther is not going to lose this match. It makes no sense for him to lose. So we're going to have to move on from this. Okay. The main event, match 5. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randall Keith Orton versus the Judgment Day, which features Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Drew McIntyre, even though Drew McIntyre is technically not a member of Judgment Day. All right, so the talk of the town is Randy Orton's big return. The dirt sheets are running around telling everybody that they announced Randy Orton so that people won't start expecting CM Punk. Even though people had no reason to expect CM Punk. All these people who are running around talking about, oh, CM Punk, they're dropping hits. They got breadcrumbs. It's like, are those breadcrumbs? No, they're not. That's dandruff. That's not breadcrumbs at all. It's just people searching in the seat cushions for stuff. You're not being led anywhere. All right. That was the negative thing about the whole Bray Wyatt White Rabbit thing, is people started really overanalyzing every single element of what's going on. And now they're all under the couch. Like, is that a CM Punk reference? It's like, no, it's not. Well, maybe I guess AEW started it when they started doing like Cookie Monster shirts and all this kind of stuff, but it's not going to happen. There's probably going to be CM Punk chants at some point on this show. I don't think it'll be in this match because I think everybody likes Randy Orton. So it's not going to be a problem. The After Cody Rhodes alluded to it on Raw, the social media accounts, the Twitter accounts or whatever, just went and told everybody, "Hey, it's Randy Orton." And then Cody Rhodes went through all these hints without actually saying anything. And then on Twitter, "Randy Orton's back." And then I'm just kind of like, okay, thanks for telling me something I already knew. So Randy Orton is going to be there. Some people are suggesting that Randy should actually turn heel in this match and take out Cody. Save it. You don't need to do. Randy should be the first feud after Cody wins the title. That should be the feud. It should be Randy and Cody going forward. Randy should do as little as necessary in this match. He should not do a lot. What would be the purpose of this guy having incredible back surgery just to come in here and do all kinds of crazy stuff, getting hit with chairs, falling on chairs? He should come in, basically do a little bit, hit an RKO here and there, and that should basically be it. Cody, of course, is probably going to end up taking giving the pinfall here, because I expect the babyfaces to win both War Games matches. If Judgment Day wins this match, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to flip over a table. They have no business winning this match. However, I will once again say that Damian Priest should cash in his Money in the Bank probably after this match, as they raise the cage and there's bodies laying all over the place, that he should cash in his Money in the Bank on Seth Rollins and win the title. I think they should do that. If you're going to do a surprise of any kind, that should be it. If you're not going to tell us who Shinsuke Nakamura is talking about, and I'm not really caught up in that whole mystery myself, but if you're not going to tell us who that is, and you don't have any other surprises planned for this show, the one surprise that you could always get away with is Money in the Bank. Just saying. I think you need to leave people with something that makes them want to watch Raw the next night. And look, you got people interested with Randy Orton coming back. Everybody's going to be talking about that. Everybody's going to be interested in, the Judgment Day stuff, which I guess is the emotional core of this particular match. Is, do you care about Judgment Day? Do you care about Drew McIntyre and Jey Uso? We're going to talk about Jey Uso in a second, which I actually do care about. I do care about the Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre thing. I wish they hadn't had that match on Raw because I care about it. But I don't really care about the internal arguments of Judgment Day. I'm burned out on Judgment Day. If they decide to do Judgment Day falls apart, they lose, and then they blame Damian Priest, I wouldn't like that as much as the Damage Control. Bayley takes the pin and then she gets the blame. They've been teasing the breakup of Damage Control all year long. They've been teasing it for a really long time. So finally paying off that angle is one thing. The Judgment Day finally having enough of Damian Priest, who wants to be El Jefe, El Presidente, El Capitan de Judgment Day. Sure, that's funny and it's interesting, but Damian Priest, his schisms with Finn Balor, that was months ago. Now they're the tag team champions. His issues now with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's not in this match. His issues with JD McDonough. Well, JD McDonough is now a member of the team. It is what it is. Most people are just kind of like over Judgment Day, want this thing to be over with, want this thing to go away. It ain't going away no time soon. But I say, if you're not going to break up Judgment Day, the only thing that you could do is demand a title. Damian Priest cashes in his Money in the Bank on this show in the main event, as everybody is beat to shit. The only person standing is him. Maybe because you do something where maybe he's handcuffed to the ring and he can't get beat up, or he gets hit with some kendo sticks, but that's about it. He eventually gets unhandcuffed and he attacks Seth Rollins while everybody is down, cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and then pins Seth Rollins while the other members of Judgment Day take care of everybody else. And he wins the title. To me, that's the best way to end this show if you don't have a huge surprise planned. And by huge surprise, I am talking about CM Punk. but I would not expect CM Punk on this show. Why would you? Why would you expect CM Punk on this show? WWE has done nothing to tell you that CM Punk was going to be there. CM Punk himself he's done a little bit of trolling online, but that's about it. Now, Jey Uso is a very interesting piece of this match because there's a lot of little storyline elements that involve Jey Uso. One is the Drew McIntyre heat, which I am invested in. And because I like the Drew McIntyre heel turn because of his absolute distaste for Jey Uso, that leads us to Randy Orton, who was injured by the bloodline. And, so now we're saying to ourselves, is it possible that Randy Orton turns on Jey Uso and he takes out Jey Uso and causes his team to lose, which is entirely possible, which could lead to the schism between Cody and Randy. Because Randy Orton is a vengeful character, that's part of his gimmick. I think that part of the story is very goddamn interesting. Cody likely was not paying attention, didn't think about it, and brought Randy Orton back to team with Jey Uso. Then we're dealing with the same situation as with Drew McIntyre, where the bloodline did so many horrible things to people, and only Cody and Sami Zayn are two guys who are big enough to overlook it, while Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre are being extremely petty, and they're holding a grudge, which there's nothing wrong with holding a grudge either, especially since he was out for like a year or so after being attacked by the bloodline. So if Randy Orton's going to turn heel, it shouldn't be on Cody, it should be on Jey Uso, and that would be very goddamn interesting. The second thing is Jey Uso did an interview where he says he wants to be the Intercontinental Champion. And I think that's a really good element too, considering we know that The Miz is just a stopgap. Now, if you're not going to do Jey Uso, Randy Orton, you could do Jey Uso and Gunther. And I like that idea. And I think that fans are invested enough in Jey Uso as a solo act that you would get away with a lengthy feud between Gunther and Jey Uso. And maybe even Jey Uso winning the title. I would not be opposed to that. Would not hate that. The guy who could pin Roman Reigns, pinning Gunther, that's fine. All right. So the last piece of business that involves Jey Uso that I want to discuss is that he did an interview where basically he was talking about people who want to do dream matches. So basically he's talked about the Young Bucks and all of them. And he says they're going to have to bring their ass to WWE because we ain't stepping down. We're not coming off the top tier. We're the best tag team in the world, et cetera, et cetera. And that got a lot of people's dander up. I even saw one AEW fan saying, oh, the Usos are not willing to test themselves outside of WWE to see how good they really are. And it's like, well, look, John Elway and Dan Marino and all these guys aren't going to play street football with you just so they can test how good they are. You're not going to be able to talk some elite quarterback into playing a street ball game with you. LeBron James is not going to come hoop at your local YMCA because, you want to test yourself against him. Get the fuck out of here. He's absolutely right to have an attitude that says, look, we are in the conversation of being one of the greatest tag teams of all time, and we do things here. We built our equity and everything here. If you want to be on our level, then you need to come here and do our thing. And if the Young Bucks want to say, well, we built a company and you should have to come here, then I guess the thing is not going to happen. All right. And I don't think it needs to happen anyway, because to me, it's not really a dream match. I don't understand the concept of dream matches. It's just because the dream is built up in the storyline. If there is no storyline between these two teams to make it interesting, then who cares about them having a match anyway? But it was similar when he was talking about like Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, the Guerrillas of Destiny and all this kind of stuff too. But he said the Young Bucks name specifically. So I don't dislike what he said. I like it. I mean, these guys have got like 12 or 13 years in WWE, built all this equity, main event in WrestleMania. They're doing you a favor if they, go to AEW or go to New Japan or go somewhere else and do this and do a show. They're doing you a favor. They're taking a huge step back financially and in terms of their career to help out some other tag team. When if Young Bucks are as great as everybody says they are, if Gorillas of Destiny are as great as everybody says they are, if FTR, who the Usos wrestle FTR a lot, but it's a new version of FTR, I guess you could say, with newfound, let's say, critical acclaim, then they all need to come to WWE. I think it's the best option. It's where the most people will see it. It's where everybody will make the most money. And it's where the Usos made their name. So if you want to be better than them and prove that you're better than them, you should have to come where they are. And I'm not angry about that at all. I see a lot of AEW fans are pretty salty, but he's just speaking the real. Why should he have to step down and do something else? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. But a lot of people are not that into Jey Uso as a solo act, which I can completely understand, but the fans are involved. They're invested. Now, to continue, more Jey Uso stuff. The idea that perhaps Jimmy Uso was going to interfere and cost Jey the match, because there isn't any bloodline stuff going on this show, at least as of recording, there is no bloodline element to Survivor Series, that perhaps they're going to involve themselves by attacking Jey Uso or whatever. You could do that. I wouldn't hate that. But it made more sense when Jimmy cost Jey the championship than if he's just going to randomly pop in and out of his life, causing drama. I don't necessarily like that conception, but who knows? It's always something worth talking about. It's always something that we can discuss. So, but I like Jey Uso is, what a huge babyface right now. You got a lot of equity in his character, a lot of equity in what he can do. You got months before WrestleMania, 5 months before WrestleMania. This is, I think, the last pay-per-view event of the year. So before, because there's no December pay-per-view. So this is the last pay-per-view event of the year. So you need to do something on this show, which is in late November, that's going to push us towards the Royal Rumble, which I think is in mid to late January. So you're going to have to do something with some real punch to it in order to carry TV through the rest of this time. And that's going to be the challenge, because Triple H has decided we're not going to do a December pay-per-view. They're going to have to punch up the TV. And 3 hours of Raw is going to be tough to get through, especially if Judgment Day wins, But if you shake things up a lot, then I think you might be able to get away with it. But I'm thinking eventually they're going to have a December pay-per-view. I know that they have NXT deadline in December. I'm not counting that because it's NXT. But this show should be very good. Some of the singles matches, I'm only really interested in Carlito and Santos Escobar for obvious reasons. I really thought the breakup of the LWO was very well done. There's a lot of potential there in terms of I've heard whispers that Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza is going to join that team. And then, Santos and his two new guys and maybe his new girl and Elektra Lopez or something like that versus Carlito and the original LWO. Not the original LWO, because that would be in WCW, but the Zelina Vega and the other two guys who used to be in Legado del Fantasma. That could be interesting. But the two championship matches are going to go exactly how everybody thinks they're going to go. What's to be concerned about that? And the War Games matches, I don't really care for War Games anyway. So I'm looking mostly for what angle is going to come out of these War Games matches, more than anything. But let me know what you guys think. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll talk to you guys later.